So what I see is, obviously he's a special person, number one.
What's so different about this team? How did you pick this team? How does Kai fit into this team? But talk a little bit about the makeup of the team and what's special about them.
Yeah, I think what's special about this particular team really is the program, because we have three teams. We have a high school team, a global team, which is most of our international players, and then our national team. So I think the competition, number one, and practice every day. We practice really, really hard, but it's not hard as in terms of physicality all the time. It's just a lot of teaching, a lot of breakdown, a lot of, a lot of guys have never seen the game in the lens that we're trying to have them see it in. So it's frustrating at times because what we'll call a mistake might not have been a mistake a year ago, or you might not have seen that. And it's a little bit of back and forth when kids are trying to adjust and at the same time trying to earn scholarships and at the same time have the parents in your ear and things of that sort. So I think, that's been an adjustment for a lot of them. I think what makes us different is we're not just a one-year program. We want guys to come here for their prep year and then come here in the off-season after their first year, second year, third year, NBA pre-drafts, rookie season, sophomore season, all the way through. And the relationship and the chemistry is being built now. So in 4 or 5 years from now, we might not be coaching the same things, but it's just a progression from where we started. So I think that's what makes us a little different, whereas other schools, their main focus is to win games, win some championship that may or may not matter in the grand scheme of things. Once those kids leave, they don't necessarily have a spot to go back to continue to grow. So they're more of a one-year program, and where, we have programs all the way from intermediate all the way up to pro level, and kind of pride ourselves on being that program for guys in the United States to start one spot, have the same coaches, the same terminology, people that you actually trust, and go all the way through.
We've heard from a lot of the guys and some of the interviews, we're going to be talking with them and posting them, but they talk about the depth of the team and the depth of the coaches and the staff and how wide range it is, from Nick and his barefoot yoga, which we'll see some of here, later in the coming weeks, but all the way from Josh to Jeremiah to you to, I could go on and on, but talk a little bit about how deep the staff is and how wide range it is and how unique that is even to any other program.
Yeah, it's, I learned a long time ago, a lot of times there's a lot of great coaches out there, but you're only really as good as your staff, and you're as good as your team is. So you can be as good a coach as you want, have all the X's and O's, but if you don't have any support, then your team might go awry. If you have all of the staff, but you don't have the players, then, you can put them in position, but you might face another team that's more talented. And so it's different ways, but it's just learning. We're able to learn from each other. We trust each other. Coach Efton, for instance, he coaches our global teams from Macedonia, does a great job, played 20 years pro. I learned a lot from him, good and bad, wins and losses. He's the first person I'll probably reach out to as far as schematics goes, because he's been in those type of situations before, so I trust what he's saying, and I try to apply it. Coach Hicks is a friend of mine. We've known each other since 2009. We actually played prep together in New Jersey, and so I trust him on a different side. I trust that he has my back and has my best interests and won't tell me, not just what I want to hear, but is everything that he tells me is from the heart, whether I want to hear it or don't want to hear it, and you need somebody like that. I can go down the whole staff, but I think what we have in common, especially this year's group, is our main passion and focus and goal is to help these kids have a little bit more than we did, a little more preparation. I'm sure somebody tried to teach us. I'm sure we didn't listen. But a lot of times that message just isn't relayed in the terms that we understand. So I'm taking what my, coaches that I've had in the past or mentors that I've had in the past, I'm taking what they taught me and reapplying it, changing the language a little bit and trying to really reach these guys, because I'm young, I'm 30, and my players are 18, 19, so the gap isn't as wide. So I'm, you know, to my advantage, I'm able to relate to them. I understand what they're going through off the floor. I was just in their shoes and just in their position. So we try to give them, you know, not just basketball stuff, but life stuff. We don't want to, it's not my job to turn you into a man. A lot of these kids have fathers, some of them don't, but they have people in their lives that play that role. But I always say I just want to give you certain jewels so that one day when you're going through something, you're able to, hopefully it's instinct just to tap into, damn, Coach Rob, this is what he prepared for. And what makes me feel the best is when old players or players we've had in the past will reach out, hey, Coach, thanks so much for preparing me on the mental side. I understand everything you were saying now. So, you know, like I said, the physical part is one part, but I'm really focused and tapped into the mental side of the game, because that's going to be what your longevity is.
So let's talk Kai. What do you see in Kai? What do you see as far as his development? Give us your take.
So what I see is, obviously he's a special person, number one. Just his situation, you know, like I said, some of these guys have their families, some of these guys have their school, have their, you know, their city. He's got a whole country behind him. And as much support as he has, there's a lot of pressure, you know, and a lot of times kids at that age can get caught up with trying to prove people wrong. You always are going to have people that are naysayers, and at the same time, you want to prove the people that believe in you right. So you end up getting outside of yourself and not enjoying the game, and it becomes, it's not as fun. You don't enjoy, you lose the purity that you started out playing when you're an 8-year-old kid. I want to know who that kid is. So I try to put him in situations where he's able to be comfortable with who he is. The way I coach him is, he is a special talent. I don't run into players. You know, I played myself, so I've been waiting to coach a player better than me. Not saying I was the best player, but I know I had certain gifts and certain talents that I'm looking for to tap into. He's got God-given gifts and ability that most people don't have, but his size, his grace, his touch, and then being a good person on top of that. So I think with him, it's just his development is going to be patience. He's got to be very, very patient, because there's so many things that he can do, but you have to take it a game at a time. And the best players look at each game and see where in that game will they have the most impact, where will they have the biggest advantage. And sometimes it's not scoring 50 points, 40, 30 points. Sometimes it's causing so much attention, causing double teams and making the right pass, and there's an extra pass and somebody else gets that. It doesn't show up on the stat sheet, but what it does is when somebody at a higher level is watching that film, they're seeing that you understand the game. And when you're at the top level playing with the most talented people in the world, that's what matters, and that's what's going to make you a champion. Whereas some people are just so wired to score points to prove some doubter wrong that may or may not matter. Instead of focusing on that, focus on the purity of the game, playing each possession, making the right reads, making the right plays, getting better, and then pushing yourself physically and mentally to a point where you know that you've pushed yourself, and everything after that will just flow.
So what goals do you and Kai have for himself and you? Have you sat down and talked about at the end of the season, when you look back, wipe away the stats, right? Because we all follow stats. Everybody knows what those numbers are. We see them posted. But at the end of the day, what's one thing that you both look back on and hope to say, this is a big win?
It's a good question. If I had to answer off the top with him, I think my goal for him is to just have him understand his ability. You know, he's so humble that a lot of times when guys are that big growing up, like I said, I break things down to when you're a kid. You're the tallest in the class, and you're the most gifted, you're the most talented. Sometimes you want to fit in. I think what I want from him is to understand sometimes that the best play is for you to put your impact on the game, because even though you're humble about your ability, you strike fear in the opponent when you play at a confidence level that's so high that it looks like you're higher level than everybody else on the floor. And when you do that, you lift the level of your teammates and you put fear in the opponents to where they're saying, hey, we can't stop him. We need help. Now the whole strategy is to stop you, and you being a great kid and a team player, it opens up everything for everybody else. So now it's a pick your poison for the other team. So that's kind of some of the things I want to work on him with, is just figuring out time and situation, when to take over and dominate, when to defer, but not predicting what he's going to do, just taking each play, each segment, each game, game by game, and figuring it out along the way.
Those are great goals to have. Mm-hmm. Thank you, Coach Rob. I'm sure we'll be hearing much more from you throughout the season, but the entire country has said amazing things. You've seen all the comments. I know you don't necessarily know all the Tagalog that they're speaking, but they've really rallied behind you. They love all the team. They want to hear from all the guys, so we'll probably be doing some team interviews as well. They'd love to hear from Jalen. They'd love to hear from Chen. They love the Twin Towers, by the way. Right. They cheer for the Twin Towers. Not many have 7-footers. So again, thank you very much for the time, and congratulations on today's win, and good luck.
You're welcome, and much love to the Philippines, everybody watching. Kai's in great hands. We're going to take care of him. We care about him. We appreciate everybody showing support, tuning in, watching us, and we have a long season to go, so all the support, prayers, and all the love is greatly appreciated. Thank you.